remarkable progress. In January, within 2 weeks of the first cases being reported to WHO, we published the first protocol for PCR testing for the new coronavirus. Since then, millions of tests have been produced, and already rapid tests are now starting to be used. In February, WHO brought together hundreds of scientists and researchers to identify research priorities. In March, we launched the Solidarity Trial to find answers fast about which therapeutics are the most effective. One therapeutic, dexamethasone, has already been proven effective for patients with severe and critical disease. Others have been proven ineffective, and still others are in trials. And around 180 vaccines are now in development, including 35 that are in human trials. No disease in history has seen such rapid development in research. It's a testament to the incredible advances in science and technology the world has made in recent years. Now, the world's ambition to develop these tools as fast as possible must be matched by its ambition to ensure as many people as possible have access to them. In April, together with the European Commission and multiple other partners, WHO launched the Access to Covid-19 Tools Accelerator to catalyze the development of and equitable access to vaccines, diagnostics, and therapeutics. But the ACT Accelerator will not be able to deliver on its goals without a significant increase in funding. The $2.7 billion it has received to date has been generous and has enabled the robust startup phase. But this is less than 10% of the overall needs. The ACT Accelerator still faces a funding gap of $35 billion. At the same time, bilateral vaccine deals and vaccine nationalism could compromise equitable access and hold up progress for all countries in bringing the COVID-19 pandemic to an end. Between now and the end of the year, we have a limited window of opportunity to scale up the ACT Accelerator and fully enable the equitable allocation framework. Currently, the ACT Accelerator is supporting research into promising vaccines, therapeutics, and diagnostics. But we need to rapidly scale up our clinical trials, manufacturing, licensing, and regulation capacity so that these products can get to people and start saving lives. Today, the Facilitation Council of the ACT Accelerator met for the first time. The role of the Council is to provide political leadership and advocacy and to mobilize additional resources. An ACT Accelerator high-level event at the United Nations General Assembly will take place on 30th September. Finally, today is World Suicide Prevention Day. Every 40 seconds, someone somewhere dies by suicide. Every single death is a tragedy for the family and friends who have lost someone they love, and for whole communities. Suicide affects people all over the world, regardless of gender, age, or economic status. Tragically, suicide is the second leading cause of death among 15 to 29-year-olds. There is much that can be done to bring down suicide rates. At the national level, every country must have a comprehensive multi-sectoral suicide prevention strategy. We know what works: restricting access to the means of suicide, including pesticides and firearms, building life skills among young people that enable them to cope with stresses in their life, early identification, management, and follow-up of people at risk of suicide. And you in the media can play your part by reporting sensitively on suicide. At the individual level, there are 3 things each of us can do. Raise awareness to reduce the stigma around suicide and mental health. If you know someone who you think may be thinking about suicide, offer them your help. And if life ever feels so hard that you don't know how you can go on, I encourage you to reach out for help. Like ending the pandemic, the key to preventing suicide is solidarity, helping each other. I thank you.
This question, I think, can be answered by Dr. Swaminathan. Soumya, please.
Thank you very much for that question. So first of all, WHO has always welcomed the conduct of so many clinical trials around the world for so many vaccine candidates. And because the more we have that are tested for safety and efficacy, the better the chances of finding one that is safe and efficacious and can be deployed widely. Now, when you do clinical trials, we're basically looking for two things. We're looking for protection, or what we call efficacy, compared to the control group. And then you also look for safety, which is side effects, adverse effects, all the way from very minor side effects to serious adverse events. And every clinical trial protocol has built into it SOP, operating procedure for how you manage these side effects. So the clinicians at the site where the trials are being done are trained in good clinical practices, which means that they are following all these participants closely, monitoring them, and then there is a protocol for what you do when something happens. And if it's a mild side effect, there are things to be done. If it is major, as it was in this case, it was a severe side event, and therefore the trial was halted. And again, this is normal procedure. This is good clinical practice, because safety is of the utmost, is the highest priority in any clinical trial. And so the trial has been halted. The Data Safety Monitoring Board is going to look into the details of this individual with the reported side effect. There will be obviously discussions and then a decision made on how to proceed. So I think this is a good, perhaps a wake-up call or a lesson for everyone to recognize the fact that there are ups and downs in research, there are ups and downs in clinical development, and we have to be prepared for those. It's not always a fast and a straight road, but we don't need to be overly discouraged, because these things happen, and we have to wait for the determination by the Data Safety Monitoring Board on this particular case, and then what the next steps are going to be for this vaccine trial. And we hope that things will be able to move on, but again, it depends. It depends on a lot, and we have to wait to see the details of what actually happened.
Thank you, Dr. Swaminathan.
विंग सिटी का अज़्म हर एक को साहिब जायदाद बनाना। इसी इरादे से विंग सिटी डेवलपर्स बार बार लगातार और हर बार बेहतरीन और कामयाब वेंचर्स पेश करते आ रहे हैं। जहांगीर पीरा के बिल्कुल दामन में विंग सिटी का एक नया वेंचर शुरू हो चुका है। 100 गज का प्लॉट 4 लाख रुपए में नकदी आसान नक्शा पर प्लॉट्स खरीदिए। तमाम बड़ी बड़ी कंपनियों से घिरा हुआ वेंचर जो आबादी के बीचों बीच है, गेटेड कम्युनिटी में है, क्लियर टाइटल, स्पॉट रजिस्ट्रेशन, ग्राम पंचायत अप्रूव, वाटर, इलेक्ट्रिसिटी और ट्रांसपोर्ट की सहूलत, बेंगलुरु हाईवे से बिल्कुल करीब। विंग सिटी डेवलपर्स अनगिनत कामयाब वेंचर्स का रिकॉर्ड रखने वाले। बुकिंग का आगाज हो चुका है, मुलाकात करें। विंग सिटी डेवलपर्स, चॉइस फंक्शन हॉल के बाजू, चंद्रायन गुड।